You have to make a new live, huh?
Yeah, unfortunately. I wonder why you can't just stop it, but... All right, we should be good now. But yeah, it definitely just booted everybody out.
Uh-oh.
Is there a way to just pause it?
I'm refreshing the screen to see if it'll come back, but it hasn't yet.
I don't think it's going to. I think it'll be under a different link, which is a bummer.
Yeah, I'm on your homepage, then going to the live.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing right now.
Okay. Yeah.
It says Acts 5 live. Okay, I'm up on it.
There should be 6.
Karina found it. Oh, yeah. It does say 6.
Okay, good. Good.
All right, there we go.
Sorry, Karina.
I just saw what she just posted. I'm like, oops.
All right, then. Okay. All right, we'll wait a few minutes.
So how was everyone's weekend?
Crazy.
Good. Yeah, I imagine. Crazy. Well, yeah, with the tornado stuff, it was a little weird.
Yeah, you had an event.
I went back and looked at the map, and it was close to y'all too, or
we got
Chicago.
Hit. Yeah, we got hit, which is fabulous. Because that is my business. So it's a money-making machine, Mother Nature. Unfortunate for people, but
yeah,
that's what insurance is for.
Exactly.
There was a venue by where some of my friends were, and the roof collapsed. So yeah, it's crazy. Luckily, it was no one that I knew. I knew a couple of people that actually went on that night, but everyone was okay. They made it out safely. So
good.
Prayers out to that one person that lost their life that night. So
that's rough, man. That's so rough. The storms have been kind of crazy recently.
Yeah. Here in Virginia too, because one moment it'll be super, super warm, and then the next moment it's freezing cold.
Really?
Yeah. It's like Chicago weather here. It's so windy, it's so cold, and I'm like, this is why I left.
Yeah.
I don't want the weather to follow me. I'm in the South.
That's wild. Huh.
They're manipulating the weather to try to beat down on us Southerners.
Oh goodness.
That's a thing to say,
I know.
Are we getting into that kind of conspiracy theory now?
Oh, we sure can.
Oh, okay.
We sure can.
Okay, let's have an entire little section on the Discord specifically for conspiracy theories.
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea. Done.
I could blow that up.
Done. Yeah, no, that'd be great. Kat would be in there constantly. She's a big old conspiracy person.
I'm big on conspiracy theories. My husband is big too.
I feel like a lot of Christians are.
Oh yeah.
Alex said hardly got anything in New York. That's kind of surprising.
That is surprising.
That's good though.
Yeah, for sure. Alex, I recorded your Sabbath video, by the way, so that'll be up this week. Chat disconnected. Oh, I gotta put the new one up there. Shoot. There we go. All right, one sec. Oh, that one's right. Okay. All right, we'll wait like one more minute. So depending on how quickly we go through 6, we might do 7 too, because 6 is very short. And 7 is predominantly a history, basically recap. So there's not a whole lot to talk about unless you go over every single kickback to the Old Testament. But I marked off everything that is vital and important. So we'll kind of see how it goes, but we might be able to get through both tonight.
I'm down for whatever.
All right, let's go ahead. They'll figure it out. Actually, let me just throw the right link at least in Discord. Quick.
Man, my camera's so low.
You had half face action going on there for a while.
I know how to move it. I usually test it before we get on, but not sideways. I'm gonna be able to get some height here, maybe. Oh no, that's gonna fall. So professional.
The most
sitting on my couch, so
yeah, whatever.
Well, at least your camera's fine. Mine's I'm half face again.
I have it set up on my laptop right now.
That's what I did. That's what I do a lot.
Because I don't have a desk. I'm currently working on saving up for a desk at the moment, but I do not own a desk.
I've been there. You do the do the old couch laptop maneuver.
Yep.
All right, let's roll. Chapter 6 out of Acts. Oh, and real quick, I told Maze that I would kind of explain what we're going to do after. So the whole Discord thing after will be, if you have 2 devices, keep YouTube up because it's helpful for me. So if you can do that, try to do that. If you only have 1 device, then you have to close out of YouTube. Actually, no, you don't. Most cell phones will put it in like a sub window. Well, I guess when you start the audio, it'll probably pause it, huh? Anyways, if you have 1 device, bail out of YouTube, go to the Discord. There's a stage category in the Bible study section. It says Acts, 1 Corinthians, speaking submissions, which is new, and then stage. The stage is inactive right now. It will be active when we go to do that, and that will allow anybody to raise their hand and then have an opportunity to speak. I will keep it streaming to YouTube for people like Karina who can't go to Discord or don't go to Discord or for whatever reason, so that it still streams. And then basically until I get in trouble for somebody saying something inappropriate, I will continue to do that. And then once that happens, that will be dead and gone. So that's the deal. Now, Act 6. I cannot join you on TikTok. You got to come over to YouTube. Acts chapter 6. 7 chosen to serve. Now in these days, when the disciples were increasing in number, a complaint by the Hellenists, these are ethnic Jews who practiced Judaism and would adopt the Greek language and culture. So that's what a Hellenist is. And they give you a note that they may have lived most of their lives outside of Judea, which for most people, you don't really care. But you do need to know that a Hellenist is an ethnic Jew who practiced that faith and adopted Greek language and culture, because that is obviously not their original. So complaint by the Hellenists arose against the Hebrews. These Hebrews refer to Jews who have not adopted the Greek language or culture. So you have the Hellenists who did, and you have the Hebrews who did not, because their widows were being neglected in daily distribution. So in the ancient Near East, you have widows who basically would not make it unless they're close family and maybe friends possibly, but basically unless your close family provided for you, due to the culture around what a widow was. It's very different than today. So if you were a widow, it was very unlikely that you would survive, basically, unless you had family members that were taking care of you. There is an overlooking of the fellow believers who were in such need because of a cultural difference, betrays a serious and highly problematic tension within the Jerusalem church. So these widows are in a very big predicament of a spot back in these days culturally, just because of what it meant. They were being neglected in the daily distribution. The daily distribution, think of like a food pantry. When they would give out food, that's what daily distribution was back then. Verse 2, And the 12 summoned the full number of the disciples and said, "It is not right that we should give up practicing the word of God to serve tables." So basically what the apostles are saying, it comes off kind of rude, but that's just the way that it comes off. And I would say it's kind of a translation thing, but even in Greek, it kind of comes off that way. But it's not what they're trying to get across. What they're trying to they're not trying to put down the practice of taking care of the widows through the daily distribution. What they're doing is trying to emphasize that certain people should have certain responsibilities based on what their gifting is, what they're called to, what their talents are. So people who are called to preach in that manner should be speaking. They probably aren't the ones who should be out serving tables at the food pantry, just because it is not what they're called to do. It is not what their gifting is. So we're wasting gifts by doing something like that. That's all that this means. It's not in any way a rude thing, or it's not meant to be a rude thing. Verse 3, "Therefore, brothers, pick out from among you 7 men of good repute, full of the Spirit and of wisdom, whom we will appoint to this duty." So to protect the holiness of the community and to safeguard impartiality in the distribution of goods, the community must choose people who have shown themselves godly and wise. That's the note that I have. The qualifications for these leaders is similar to the more elaborate list given in the office of deacon, which comes out of 1 Timothy 3, which is 1 Timothy is basically a letter from Paul to Timothy explaining what it takes and what you need to have to be a deacon, or to be, which is basically, a pastor in today's terms, to be a spiritual leader within the early church. This is like your handbook, 1 Timothy is. So that's the good reputation. It is pulled from 1 Timothy. 4, "But we will devote ourselves to prayer and to the ministry of the word." Verse 5, "And what they said pleased the whole gathering, and they chose Stephan, a man full of faith and of the Holy Spirit, and Philip, and Prochorus, and Nicanor, and Timon, and Parmenas, and Nicholas, a proselyte and of Antioch." So this list of names, they're all Greek. Every single one of them is Greek. So the community is trying to ensure the care for those who are outside of the community and the culture in the original social and cultural bounds. So within their Greek bounds, that's where they're pushing from. The basically trying to take care of the marginalized people, referring to the widows and also others, by appointing these leaders or putting these leaders in place for that purpose, who have a similar cultural background, because we have to remember that was really, really big. It's you got to get out of the mindset of like America specifically. We're very multicultural, and it's at least the expectation that people don't act like that's a problem, or like it's difficult, or like it's hard. Like in America, it's kind of becoming more than ever a melting pot of cultures. That was not the case. So they were trying to strategically place people of similar cultures in leadership to take care of people from that culture who are marginalized, because they will be able to relate both in language, but just in cultural practices and understandings. Verse 6, "These they set before the apostles, and they prayed and laid their hands on them." The laying hands on them specifically right there is another pull from Timothy, where Paul was talking about that to Timothy. So it comes directly from there. It's a direct reference. 7, "And the word of God continued to increase, and the numbers of the disciples multiplied greatly in Jerusalem." There's that kick towards numbers. You're going to hear it over and over and over again. "And a great many of the priests became obedient to the faith." So the gospel of Jesus Christ, finally, after we've read a whole lot of the opposite, is starting to have an effect on the local Jewish religious leadership. So these people who were, as we've read, massively against what the apostles are doing, what the early Christians are doing, you now finally see this shift, that power dynamic that we've been talking about, where the Jewish spiritual leaders specifically are starting to flip. They're starting to come towards the light side, starting to believe the gospel message that is being pushed. Stephan is seized. This begins a very long story, which is why I'd like to get into 7 if we can. Stephen sees, and Stephen, full of grace and power, was doing great wonders and signs among the people. 9. Then some of those who belonged to the synagogue of the freedmen, what the freedmen are men basically belong to a Greek-speaking synagogue, perhaps founded by or attended by freed slaves. That's the assumption by scholars if you read about it in a study Bible, or you read about it in any sort of commentary, as most people are going to push toward that the freedmen were freed slaves just simply due to what the word is. There's literally no other information that really clarifies that for us, but we at least know that they're Greek speaking, and that was their synagogue. And it says, as it was called. And of the Crinians and of the Alexandrians and of those from Cilicia and Asia rose up and disputed with Stephan. So you have people from across these cultures, these regions. The first one is a city in northern Africa. Alexandrians are from a region around Alexandria, which is a city in Egypt. The Cilicians and Asia are referring to Asia Minor, which today we know as modern Turkey. They rose up and disputed with Stephan. So they were debating and arguing with him. But verse 10, they could not withstand the wisdom and the spirit with which he was speaking. So what this means is that Stephan, as they were arguing, debating theologically, the opponents from these other areas were trying to overcome him with this theological debate, and they were failing at it. Verse 11, then they secretly instigated men who said, we have heard him speak blasphemous words against Moses and God. So as I'm sure everybody here has seen in a political debate or in a theological debate or just in a debate between you and somebody else, once someone realizes they're losing and they're kind of looking like an idiot, they begin to play dirty. And that's essentially what we're seeing. So since Stephan's opponents could not counter him in an intelligent way due to the pure wisdom that he was speaking, given by the Holy Spirit, they started to just slander him. That's really all that it was. So they started lying and slandering, and then we're going to see how far they intend to take it here in a second. Verse 12, and they stirred up the people and the elders and the scribes, so heavyweight people, and they came upon him and seized him and brought him before the council. 13, and they set up a false witnesses, plural, who said, this man never ceases to speak words against this holy place and the law, remembering that the people that they are talking to are religious leaders, higher ups, heavyweights. What do they care about more than anything else? The law. So he's saying that he's speaking poorly against this holy place where they are, as well as the law. This is sure to ruffle some feathers. 14, for we have heard him say that this Jesus of Nazareth will destroy this place and will change the customs that Moses delivered to us. 15, and gazing at him, all who sat in the council saw that his face was like the face of an angel. That part is interesting. So the reference to, let's see where I'm at. 14. The witnesses are twisting Stephan's words about Jesus and his ministry. Jesus never claimed that he would destroy the temple. And you can find that in John chapter 2. He did predict when and how that it would be destroyed, but he did not indicate that it would be him that did it. That reference is out of Mark chapter 13, which took place, the destruction of the temple took place in AD 70. He also never claimed in any way that he came to overturn the law. What did he come to do in terms of the law? He came to fulfill the law. That's a drastic differentiation. Not to destroy, but to fulfill. They are in no way synonymous. And this is a thing that we in modern day Christianity, like we've talked about ad nauseum with something like the tattoo thing or whatever, people will say, well, Jesus didn't come to get rid of the law. No, he did not. He came to fulfill it. He came to finish it. He came to usher in a new covenant being a promise between God, creation, and creator. That's what he came to do. He did not come to destroy. He never said he was going to destroy. He did say that he fulfilled it. And it's a very important thing that literally every Christian needs to understand. That's fundamental theology that everybody needs to get. Actually, let's pause real quick. You guys have anything for 6?
So are we talking about the temple, like the third temple in Revelations?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Because I was also making a reference to that as well, because my husband and I, we read the Old Testament, and we were actually talking about Ezra chapter 6, and it also talked about that third temple as well.
Yeah. No, exactly. And so the in the charge was just that Jesus said that he would destroy it, and it's just not ever what was said in any way. So it's a bad lie.
He said he would rebuild it in 3 days, but that's about it.
Yeah. And he talked about the destruction of it, but it was never, by his hand or anything like that.
Correct.
Drew, you got anything for 6 here before we jump?
I think I had one question jumping back, because at first it was 5 and 6, so I read them kind of together. What is it? 6, 7, when it said like a great many of the priests became Christians. Was that like?
Yeah.
Which priests were they? What were they before? Like the
Jewish.
Okay, I had one thing. I wonder if a lot of them converted because like they were poor, and then they saw how much people were like selling stuff and giving it to the apostles. Were they like, "Hey, I'll join that"?
I hope not, but
I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised. I guess. Yeah. I mean, yeah. You never know. You never know. I'm sure some of them, if you take a lot of 1,000, there's got to be a handful that had, poor intent. That's an interesting thought. I've never really thought about that, honestly. But yeah,
so like my study Bible said the lower ranks of the priesthood numbered in the thousands, of whom many were poor and maybe at first been attracted to Christians by their charity. So I was like, that kind of makes sense. But like you said,
by their charity. I mean, I guess my good-willed hope is that by their charity is indicating that their heart is just warmed by seeing what Christians are doing financially. But yeah, it could definitely be corrupt too. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Sorry, I'm always thinking that way.
Always a cynic. I'm usually cynical too. Karina says, interesting that Stefan's face was like an angel. Yeah, I thought I had a note for the like an angel thing, but maybe it was in 7 because that's an Old Testament reference. It might be in 7 though, because I don't see it here. But yeah, hang on to that thought, Karina, because it's actually more significant than you think, unless that's what you're referring to, in which case you're very smart. Mystic made it. No, I'm here now. I assume you went to the old link. I'm very sorry. We're professional, if you haven't figured that out. Always professional.
It's an attempt.
We're going to get it, guys.
We have about 350 days left.
It's plenty of time, man. It's plenty of time. I feel very confident. I feel very good about it. Mm-hmm. All right. Anything else for 6?
I don't think so. The only other note it had in here was about the Hellenists, that like the church created problems when a number of they responded to the gospel when there was like a language barrier, and that's kind of why they were left out. I guess it's about the only thing I had there.
Yeah.
But you covered that, so.
All right.
Oh, sorry. Where did it go?
No. What else? What you got?
I wrote it down somewhere. Oh, in my study Bible, of course, which it does all the work for me. There was a language barrier there, and it also said there might have been a lot of theological frictions because they had different opinions of observance of the Old Testament law and the proper role of the temple in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
So, I was thinking, could that maybe be why some of the Jews refused maybe to, believe Jesus was Jesus? Because, they were, didn't like each other, and they're like, well, we're just going to... I mean,
for sure, yeah. No, I'm sure it has to be a part of it. How much, who knows? But yeah, all of those differences in how things were observed and the observation of it, I think they absolutely played a part. To what degree? it's anybody's guess, but yeah, for
knowing
sure.
how people are, like you say, everybody wants to be right. So.
Yes, always. And once you've killed God, it's kind of hard to be like, shit, we were wrong. Excuse my language, but crap, we were wrong. And a lot of them did, which is great. But that's tough. I mean, think about like being in an argument with somebody and then realizing that moment that you realize like, crap, I was totally wrong. And then you have the choice to either admit it and be humble or just continue arguing, even though the whole time you're wrong. Like that's tough. So then within the context of brutally torturing and murdering the Son of God, it's like, oh, sorry, shoot, our bad. It's tough. It's tough to come back from. So it takes a lot of guts for the Jews that did convert to be like, man, we were wrong. And I think a lot of Jews probably stayed. I'm sure some of them stayed just out of stubbornness and not wanting to deal with that. I wonder if any of the different Jewish sects were more likely to become Christian than other ones.
Specific ones, I guess, were more likely to.
I'd say yes. Over. I'd say yes. So, and this is totally conjecture in my opinion, but it's actually it's a really interesting. Alex is always full of really interesting questions. I would say the more traditional Jews would have a much harder time with that, and also the more kind of like Drew said, the more observational the Jewish sect was, probably the harder of a time they'd have switching over. That would be my guess. That'd be something interesting to look into to see if there's a lot of information about it, because I'm sure it's not documented within anything Christianity wise, but if you get into some of like the midrashes, I'm sure it's documented, and that would actually be really interesting to look at. So I'm gonna make a note for myself actually, because that's an interesting question, and I would like to look into that, because I'm sure they did. Yeah, I would imagine. All right. Anything else, guys? On TikTok, you got to go over to YouTube. You guys can't see anything. You can't hear anybody. This is just to migrate you. So you go over to YouTube and you'll be able to see and be a part of everything. Anything else real quick before we hop back in? Chapter 7.
Jeremiah says, in the Torah, God commands the Jewish people to uphold the law.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. But Old Covenant. And then you have New Covenant, which is Christ's fulfillment. And that's the hang up and the difference between Christianity and Judaism. Jews believe, if Jesus wasn't the Messiah, then they're still upheld to the law. They're still held to the law. And the right. Jews who believe that Christ was the Messiah, or at least could have been, working on the thought, they would be under the New Covenant, which would remove the law due to fulfillment, not due to destruction, kind of as we said earlier, being distinctly different and absolutely necessary to understand. All right, 7. I just realized how jacked up this is. Good enough. Chapter 7. Stefan's speech. All right, we're going to get into a bunch of stuff here. I'm going to try to run through it as quickly as possible. It's basically a recap of some Old Testament stuff. So if you were to count, and I've said this about Acts the entire time, that the number of Old Testament references is plentiful. However, in chapter 7, it's ridiculous. So if you were to count them, it's a lot. But I'll hit everything that's super important. We'll jump back to Old Testament where it's either vital or very interesting, and then we'll kind of skip through the rest. And the high priest said, so he was captured, he's put before he's seized, and then he's put before the council. He's being lied about. He has false witnesses saying things about him. that he's lying about about Jesus, and he's lying about Moses. Specifically, the Moses part is important. And the high priest said, "Are these things so?" Verse 2. And Stephan said, "Brothers and fathers, hear me. The God of glory appeared to our father Abraham when he was in Mesopotamia, before he lived in Haran, and said to him, 'Go out from your land and from your kindred and go into the land that I will show you.'" The glory of God there. He's beginning this recounting, this reference past to Israel's history in a way that is very familiar and similar in context to the Old Testament prophets. So he's reminding the Israelites of the covenantal responsibilities, the covenantal nature to God, to Yahweh. And this comes out of Deuteronomy 1-3, Psalm 78, Daniel 9, and Nehemiah 9. The often reoccurrence or occurrence within this context of Israel's failure in being faithful to God. So he's going to point out these consistent reoccurrences of Israel failing to be faithful to God. And he's going to get pretty deep into it. Verse 4. No, actually, let's touch on this too. So before he settled in Haran, says Abraham, when he was in Mesopotamia, before he lived in Haran, we're still in verse 2. This is out of Genesis 11. And it's an indication that Abraham reached Haran before God spoke to him, which is, it's kind of interesting and important if you care about the historical, the chronological order of the history of the Bible. So Genesis 11 is where it comes from, indicating Abraham reached Haran before God spoke to him. The account here in Genesis does not seem to push a very strict chronological order, however. Genesis 11 and Genesis 12. Genesis 11 serves as this kind of background story to the events that then you see in Genesis 12, which is just kind of interesting if you're into that sort of stuff. Verse 4. Then he went out from the land of the Chaldeans and lived in Haran. And after his father died, God removed him from there into this land in which you are now living. 5. Yet he gave him no inheritance in it, not even a foot's length, but promised to give it to him as a possession and to his offering after him, though he had no child. Verse 6. And God spoke to this effect, that his offspring would be sojourners in the land belonging to others, who would enslave them and afflict them for 400 years. So that verse 6 right there, the foreign land, is a reference again back to Genesis. It's out of chapter 15, and it's a passage where it's basically giving another overview of Israelites in Egypt before the Exodus. So it's another timeline thing, another pushback to timeline, which again, if you're interested in that, it interests you and is interesting. If you're not, it's something to just skip right over. The 400 years is more than likely, obviously, just a round number. That's more of an estimate, but it's indicating how many generations, a round number indicating how many generations of people went through that. And it pulls from Genesis 15, verse 7. But I will judge the nation that they serve, said God. And after that, they shall come out and worship me in this place. 8. And he gave him the covenant of circumcision. In the Old Testament, we obviously know circumcision was the connection that Abraham's descendants had with God as God's chosen nation. Kind of an odd thing to do that with, but it is what it is. So circumcision is something that is paramount to the Jews and the Old Testament, and even within the New Testament, due to the arguments of whether it needs to stay or whether it needs to go. It demonstrates God's commitment to keep his promise to Abraham's family, Genesis 17. So still verse 8. And he gave him the covenant of circumcision, and so Abraham became the father of Isaac, and circumcised him on the 8th day. And Isaac became the father of Jacob, and Jacob of the 12 patriarchs. verse 9. And the patriarchs, jealous of Joseph, sold him into Egypt. So Stefan is suggesting there is a parallel between Joseph's brothers rejecting him, selling him, betraying him. That's Genesis 37. And so the parallel between that and the religious leaders rejecting Jesus, which we've read about here in Acts, back in 5. He is also trying to push this point that God is fundamentally involved in the church. Just as, in the same way, God was fundamentally involved in what Joseph went through in Egypt. So he's pushing this parallel to the council that is scolding him at the moment, which is the parallel thing is the main thesis of this entire chapter. Is he's trying to point out things that they understand from the Old Testament and let them know and force them to see how it relates and is to be understood now here in the New Testament. So jealous of Joseph, back in verse 9, jealous of Joseph sold him into Egypt, but God was with him. 10, and rescued him out of his afflictions and gave him favor and wisdom before Pharaoh, king of Egypt, who made him ruler over Egypt and over all his household. 11, now there came a famine through all Egypt and Canaan, in great affliction, and our fathers could not find food. 12, but when Jacob heard that there was grain in Egypt, he sent out our fathers on their first visit. 13, and on the second visit, Joseph made himself known to his brothers. If you remember that story, his brothers were very stressed about that situation because they knew what they did to him, and they thought that Joseph was going to be angry. And Joseph's family became known to Pharaoh. 14, and Joseph sent and summoned Jacob, his father, and all his kindred, 75 persons in all. 15, and Jacob went down into Egypt, and he died, he and our fathers, and they were carried back to Shechem and laid in the tomb that Abraham had bought for a sum of silver from the sons of Hamor and Shechem. 17, but as the time of the promise drew near, which God had granted to Abraham, the people increased and multiplied in Egypt. 18, until there arose over Egypt another king who did not know Joseph. Problematic. 19, he dealt shrewdly with our race and forced our fathers to expose their infants so that they would not be kept alive. At this time Moses was born. He was beautiful in God's sight. God chose Moses and set him very much apart from other individuals within that culture at the time, specifically to lead the people out of Egypt. So that was beautiful in God's sight was a reference to that specific nature of what Moses's role would be for God's people. And he was brought up for 3 months in his father's house. 21, and when he was exposed, Pharaoh's daughter adopted him and brought him up as her own son. If you remember, the mother, they were going around killing all the boys. Mother put the baby in the basket. Age-old story. Baby floats down the river. Princess grabs baby, raises baby. Boom, Moses. 22, and Moses was instructed in all the wisdom of the Egyptians, and he was mighty in his words and deeds. 23. 23. When he was 40 years old, he came into his heart to visit his brothers and children of Israel. 24. And seeing one of them being wronged, he defended the oppressed man and avenged him by striking down the Egyptians. He supposed that his brother would understand that God was given them salvation by his hand, but they did not understand. 26. And on the following day, he appeared to them as they were quarreling and tried to reconcile them, saying, men, you are brothers. Why do you wrong each other? But the men who were wronging his neighbor thrust him aside, saying, who made you ruler and judge over all? God did. 28. Do you want to kill me as you killed the Egyptian yesterday? At this retort, Moses fled and became an exile in the land of Midian, where he became the father of 2 sons. Midian is a region in it's a peninsula basically that's directly east of the Red Sea. And then the 2 sons, you've got Gershom and Eliezer, and you can find those references in Exodus 18. 30. Now, when 40 years had passed, an angel appeared to him in the wilderness of Mount Sinai in a flame of fire in a bush. 31. When Moses saw it, he was amazed at the sight. As he drew near to look, there came the voice of the Lord. 32. I am God of your fathers, the God of Abraham and of Isaac and of Jacob. And Moses trembled and did not dare to look. Then the Lord said to him, take off the sandals from your feet, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. I have surely seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt, and have heard their groaning. And I have come down to deliver them. And now come, I will send you to Egypt. 35. Almost there. This Moses, whom they rejected, saying, who made you ruler and judge? This man God sent as both ruler and redeemer by the hand of the angels who appeared to him in the bush. 36. This man led them out, performing wonders and signs in Egypt, at the Red Sea, and in the wilderness for 40 years. This is the Moses who said to the Israelites, God will raise up for you a prophet like me from your brothers. This is the one who in the congregation in the wilderness with the angel who spoke to him at Mount Sinai and with our fathers, he received living oracles to give to us. The living oracles. These are, it's a unique mediation position between God and the people, the Israelites, that is seen in God's direct revelation of his will to Moses at Sinai. So Exodus 20, your reference in the New Testament, you got one in 1 Corinthians 10, which we covered, and then Galatians 3. But it's that mediator position that Moses was given, whether he liked it or not, to be between God and the Israelites. 39, our fathers refused to obey him, but thrust him aside, and in their hearts they turned to Egypt, saying to Aaron, make for us gods who will go before us. This gets interesting. And for this Moses who led us out from the land of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him. And they made a calf in those days and offered a sacrifice to the idol, and were rejoicing in the works of their hands. 42, but God turned away and gave them over to worship the host of heaven, as it is written in the book of the prophets. So God turned them away. 42. He's letting the people do this, which is what he does. He lets people fall into pagan worship because God is not a Machiavellian puppeteer. We have free will. So he allowed them to choose for themselves, which was to give themselves over to idolatry, to pagan worship. Did you bring to me slain beasts and sacrifices during the 40 years in the wilderness, O house of Israel? You took up the tent of Moloch. Moloch is a nasty one if you start to research. So he was a god who basically originated in Canaan and was heavily involved in child sacrifice. So people would literally sacrifice death. They would kill children in worship to Moloch. With this whole thing, if you guys saw, what was it, Balenciaga a couple months ago, the fashion company, and all the conspiracies surrounding it and everything like that.
Yep.
So they have references to Moloch. They did before everything started to happen in some of their documentation, in some of their photographs that they did. There were references to Moloch. And if you know anything about the rest of the conspiracy, it's not really conspiracy, it's fact. Anything else about that disgusting company is that they were heavily involved in child sex trafficking. So there's connection there. If anybody thinks that these old practices of worship, and everybody kind of goes to the place of Satanism. Satanism it's not the worship of Satan. Satanism is the worship of self. Luciferianism is the worship of Satan, which you don't hear about very often. But child sacrifice many times is attributed to Satan, which doesn't make any sense. It's evil, so you have a correlation there. However, there's no place, no reason, no connection to make us believe that Satan and child sacrifice or child sex trafficking have any direct correlation whatsoever. However, Moloch does. And many of these people who practice Satanism, which again is just self-worship, feeding one's flesh, then you can tie sex, child trafficking, to Satanism, because they are just feeding the flesh through perversion having to do with children. So there's just a fun little rant of how disgusting the world still is. But everybody needs to understand that that is still alive and well. The worship of Moloch is happening right now. It never ended, and it's becoming more common than it has ever in history prior to what we're talking about right now in the Old Testament.
Jones hits that a lot.
What's that?
Alex Jones hits on that a lot. My husband got me to it.
I love Alex so much. He's so good.
So does my husband.
He's so good. Oh my God.
He's
just
so poor
fabulous.
now.
Yeah, but man, he tucked money away. You gotta be crazy if you think that dude wasn't putting money in shelf companies and all sorts of stuff. He had shells, he had shelves. He's smart.
Jeremiah, go ahead and hit the comments on that one.
he kind of busted that wide open, the Bohemian Grove thing.
Oh, is Jeremiah your husband?
Yep. Yeah, Jeremiah's my husband, yes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't even realize.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, the Bohemian Grove years ago.
My husband made me watch that video.
He's hit on everything though, man. He's been on Crowder recently. When Steven Crowder came back at the end of March after being gone for like 3 months, he had Alex Jones on for like 2 or 3 days in a row. And he's so cute. Alex Jones is so cute. He's like such a cute guy. He's so sweet, not aesthetically,
Okay.
but he's cute like in how he talks, and he's so sweet and he's so nice to people, and he's just such a good dude.
He's like constantly on speed. It's like,
oh, he's crazy. That's was it Steven
Unless you
Crowder?
get him in like one of his friends, yeah.
Yes, but it was like on Crowder, so they do like introductions where he says like hi to whoever's with him that day on the show, and he said hi to Alex, and Alex goes on this 15-minute rant about all sorts of crazy stuff, and he's like, dude, I said hi. We need to like start the show. Chill. But that's just who he is. I love him. But then you had Kanye West on with him. If you guys watched that,
Oh my gosh.
it was like 3
Yep.
hours. I watched every second of it. It was hilarious, because it was dynamic flip. It was the dynamic flip where Alex Jones was not the crazy one in the room.
Yep.
Kanye West looked
Like, you know it's
insane.
bad.
Yes.
Yeah, you know
when
it's bad
Alex
when
is like,
Alex
"Hey,
is like-
dude, chill, relax, relax." It was wild, so good. Oh man. Okay. All right. Let's finish out. We're like right at the end.
Sorry.
No, it's good stuff. I love Alex. He's the best, man. All right. Took up the tent of Moloch and the star of your god, Rephan, the images that you made to worship, and I will send you into exile beyond Babylon. So Stefan is quoting here. It originally read beyond Damascus, referring to the Assyrian deportation of the northern kingdom of Israel. In an interpretive move, so this is an intelligent thing that Stefan is doing, he's referring to the exile beyond Babylon due to the reference later of the deportation of Judah to Babylon. The reference to the exile of Judah may have been more relevant for Stefan's Jerusalem audience. Both events were brought about by disloyalty to God. So this is, he quotes but manipulates the reference in order to specifically capture the attention and the understanding of the specific people that he was before. So it said earlier that whatever he was saying, this debate that he was having was inspired by the Holy Spirit. And just the fact that he did that and was able to do that kind of on the fly in such a beautifully effective way is really wild. And that's one of these things that, like, if you read the Bible, 99.999% of people are just going to read right past that and not see that for how beautiful it is, because it's beautiful. It's very smart, it's intelligent, And it was very effective due to who was grilling him and who he was having this conversation with as he's doing all of these references. So just kind of wild. 44. Our fathers had the tent of witnesses in the wilderness, just as he who spoke to Moses directed him to make it. According to the pattern that he had seen, our fathers in turn brought it in with Josiah when they dispossessed the nations that God drove out before our fathers. So it was until the days of David. Stefan here has described how God has basically finished his purpose and has fulfilled his promise with Israel, despite and in spite of Israel's constant, consistent failings throughout the Old Testament. Through Abraham, Joseph, and Moses. Stefan now is introducing David's role. So that's that first reference right before verse 46 of David. So he's going to usher in David's role in the history of Israel now. 46. Who found favor in the sight of God and asked to find a dwelling place for the God of Jacob. 47. But it was Solomon who built a house for him. Solomon built the temple as this unmoving tabernacle where God would basically live. That was the idea. God would live, he would reside, his presence would be in this tabernacle that Solomon built. And it would be in a way that was special to the Israelites, to the Jews. It was a very special presence of the Lord. There's a reference there to 1 Kings 6, if you want to read that historical account. 48. Yet the Most High does not dwell in houses made by hands. As the prophet said, heaven is my throne and the earth is my footstool. What kind of house will you build for me, says the Lord? And what is the place of my rest? Did not my hands make all of these things? You stiff-necked people, uncircumcised in heart and ears. God, he sometimes, it's an insult. It's an insult. It uses these terms against Israel to kind of highlight their constant unfaithfulness in terms of the covenant between God and Israel. For remembrance, it's Deuteronomy 10 and Jeremiah 9, which is meant, and obviously very much is, it's derogatory. Like I said, it's an insult, and it's equating them with their neighboring pagan nations who worshiped other gods and often oppressed them. So it's just an example of how savage the Bible can be if you really know what you're reading. You always resist the Holy Spirit, as your fathers did, so do you. 52. Which of the prophets did your fathers not persecute? Boom. And they killed those who announced beforehand the coming of the righteous one, whom you have now betrayed and murdered. 53. You who received the law as delivered by the angels and did not keep it. Last paragraph. The stoning of Stefan. Now, when they heard these things, they were enraged, and they ground their teeth at him. 55. But he, full of the Holy Spirit, gazed into heaven and saw the glory of God and Jesus standing at the right hand of God. And he said, Behold, I see the heavens open and the Son of Man standing at the right hand of God. 57. But they cried out with a loud voice and stopped their ears and rushed together at him. 58. Then they cast him out of the city and stoned him. The killing by stoning, death by stones, was a legal practice. And it was in this time, it was the penalty in almost every scenario for blasphemy of the Holy Spirit. I'm sorry, of God. So tie in the Holy Spirit. And this was a Levitical thing. So the Levites specifically were tied to this, but that stayed for a very, very long time. It was a legal penalty. So if you got arrested today for that, you would get stoned to death, which is just absolutely brutal. And the witnesses laid down their garments at the feet of a young man named Saul. I hope everybody knows who Saul is. 59. And as they were stoning Stephen, he called out, Lord Jesus, receive my spirit. 60. And falling to his knees, he cried out with a loud voice, Lord, do not hold this sin against them. And when he had said this, he fell asleep. So 2 notes. Who is Saul? And does anybody catch the reference for the quote that Stefan had there? Lord, do not hold this sin against them.
Yep.
They know not what they do.
They know not. Yeah, exactly. And Saul, we all know as good old Paul. All right. Nailed it. Finished it. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna drop you guys like you're hot, and then we're gonna move over to the stage. So bye. All right, hang tight for a second, everybody. We are going to start up the Discord stage. So if you would like to speak, be a part of a conversation, both related to what we read or completely not related. It can be about anything at all. Hop over to Discord and go down to the Bible study section. And then at the bottom of that section, there's stage, and it has a green icon next to it right now because it's begun now. And you can raise your hand. We can line you up, and then you will have the opportunity to jump on and talk. So let me pull that up right now. Boom. Okay. Nope. All right, Shannon, say something.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm here.
I just
Sorry.
want to make, no, you're good. I just want to make sure the audio is coming in.
Okay.
All right, so the YouTube chat we'll get rid of for now. Actually, you know what? All right, Drew, you need to hit accept there, bud.
He raised his hand.
He raised his hand? I invited you to speak like 5 times. Shannon, can you try to invite him to speak and see if...
Yeah. Let's see if...
Maybe it just doesn't want... All right, if anybody, like I said, if anybody is able to keep YouTube open, I would appreciate if you did that because it helps me just algorithmically. And because we might have Karina in the chat who can't communicate with us on Discord.
It's not letting me bring him in.
What the heck?
Oh, wait.
Is it working?
No. I was trying to see if I could provide him, but...
Interesting. Oh, wait. You know what? All right, I'm going to throw you off for a second. All right, let me cancel his invite. All right, Drew, look now and see if that works. Oh, Karina, good night.
Karina? Send 2 invites.
All right, you send one then.
Two from you, Ken or Shannon.
All right, I sent you another one, Drew. I think I've sent you like 3 or 4 though. Drew, maybe try to leave and then come back and we'll see if it works. Rebecca's in, Maze is in. Interesting. All right, well let's pop Maze or Rebecca. Do either of you want to hop on? while we try to figure out Drew's situation here. Focus on this person. Mikkel. Good old Mikkel. All right, you guys have to raise your hand. So there should be a little hand button at the bottom. You click that, and then it should pop you in. There you go. All right, Maze, you should be able to accept that and then hop in. And if it doesn't let her in, then something's up. But it's really weird that it let you come in, no problem.
Yeah.
Okay, he says the accept button is behind the stage button. Stage info, and let me click it. If you can send to the accept button, we'll follow below. I've sent you a bunch. So I think they might be stacking on top of each other, Drew, instead of pushing it down. Maze, can you not get in either?
So it's not letting me bring them in.
Ah, Drew got in.
Okay.
Jeez.
What was the deal?
It's like I took a screenshot of it. I'll show you later. But like it at the top of my phone, it says Act 6 stage, 3 people speaking, 2 people in the gallery, and then that's where the accept comes up, and it won't let me click through it.
Interesting. Okay. So how were you able to get on?
Somehow somebody I don't know who sent me the second one, but somebody sent me another one, and it said accept, and then it sent another one, so it pushed it down, and then I can click it.
All right, then can both of you send Maze an invite too?
Yeah, I don't know if that's what's happening to her too, because like it's my phone that was doing it.
So it seems like if you are on a phone, we've had some issues with that so far.
I just sent her.
I sent her one too, so maybe if that's the problem, it'll push it down.
That's so weird. With how popular Discord is, you feel like they would fix that.
Yeah, I don't know. And now why is the live frozen?
The live's frozen?
For me. I mean, it may just be my internet. I don't know. My phone has unlimited, so it's fine. I mean, it should be fine. My phone has unlimited. It's coming back for me.
All right, yeah. The live looks all right for me. Maze, are you able to get in or not? Or are you just doing something else?
She had a lot of questions. I figured she'd be here.
Yeah, her and I actually spoke before. That's why I was late. We were on a Discord phone call.
She said that she's working on it.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I've got to be out by 7:30 today. I've got to do a bunch of stuff before I put the kiddo to bed. So
works with me.
All right, she says I can see the accept decline, but can't click the accept like it's hidden. So she's having the same problem.
Yeah, it worked for me when somebody sent me another. I don't know who it was. I didn't even read it. I just hit it so fast.
All right, here. I'm going to cancel her invite, and then I send one, you guys send one, and we'll see if she can. Maze, pay attention to your screen.
And do 3.
We'll see if the accept button pops down. But you may have to get on like a tablet or a computer to make this work. We had similar issues last week. Not this bad though.
Yeah, you guys did the punch. I couldn't do it. Let's see.
have to play with that somehow. Yeah, like you said, it's so popular. I don't. If it would just go away, like the top. Is your screen? If you scroll up on your Discord on YouTube, can you go up? Like it says speakers 3 on YouTube.
I can
you
show
go
it.
up?
Yeah. Once the live catches up, it's showing now.
Yeah, where it says Act 6, 3 speaking, 2 an audience. Like that's where the accept pops up. It's like up there and it's behind it. So I can't click it.
Very weird.
I don't know if it's because it let Shannon, so I don't know. But she's on a computer, right?
No, she's on a phone.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an Apple thing then. Maybe it's how the Apple app.
Shannon, do you have an Android?
No, I have an Apple.
Oh, well, I don't know. Maybe
That's so weird.
I love my iPhones way too much to transfer to that one.
So weird. I wonder what
I
the
don't
heck.
know why.
Yeah, she says she just messaged says she has an Apple iPhone too. Thanks, Eve. All right, let's try one more time. I'm gonna cancel it, but I wish I could just force someone to speak. But I mean,
yeah, you would think you'd be able to.
Yeah. All right, she's gonna hop on a laptop.
We'll have to. I don't know.
Is anybody in?
If you want, I can back out while we're waiting and see if I can like find a way to get in. But
yeah, I don't.
Or I'll just chill here. It doesn't matter.
I think if she gets on a computer, we should be good.
Finally, I like backed out of the stage, and then it sent me like a notification at the very top, like when you get a text, and it said you've been invited, and I clicked it, and then it let me. So I don't know. Hey there, man. Come on, Discord. You gotta figure that out.
Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous. That's pretty crazy. All right, we'll hang out. Wait for her.
Or maybe it's how I have my, because it said you can do notification settings. Maybe that's. No, that's not.
I doubt it. Yeah.
Oh no! What did I do? Nothing.
All right, let me see.
I don't know.
Hey, from South Africa. Go ahead.
Oh. One thing I was trying to do was trying to connect my Bluetooth speaker onto my laptop, and I don't know how to do that. So I'm sticking with the iPhone, and hopefully the sound and everything works just as good.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. What's up, baby? You bring spook? Oh, thanks. I'll take her. I'll take that girl. What's going on?
We had the same conversation that I.
Okay, not right now. I'll come talk to you about it in a minute. I'll come talk to you in a minute. I love you. Yeah, here. I'll be with you in just a few.
Aww.
She's adorable.
Somebody loves their daddy.
Love you, baby.
Aww.
She's a doll, man.
She looks just like you.
Yeah. That's lovely. That makes me happy. Oh. All right, well, Rebecca was able to request to come in. Oh, but now it's going to send her an invite. Rebecca, I sent you an invite. She's not going to be able to get in either. Let us know what it looks like in the chat there, Rebecca, if it's hidden again. But it seems like, well, God, that really sucks. But it seems like you either got to be on a tablet or on a computer for this to be able to work. Maybe we try a just a regular voice room instead of a stage, and that might work.
And then hopefully everybody will just mute themselves until they want to speak. Is that how that would work?
I think we can force everybody to be muted.
Okay.
So yeah, let's actually give that a shot, because otherwise this is a dead end, and I am on a strict timeline. So I just created a voice room. It's under the stage over here in
All right,
Discord.
I'm going.
It's right there. So I'm gonna go start that up right now. Test. Okay.
We good?
I think so.
Yeah, she's just muted. I think she muted herself, maybe. No, it's got a little mute thing on your picture,
Oh.
on your left shoulder.
Yeah, and it looks like I cannot unmute people. So Rebecca, see if you can unmute. You don't have to talk, but just, or Shannon, see if you can unmute. Just see if it works.
It won't let me click her either, so it won't let me do it.
So that tells me it might be a permission thing. So hold on.
So weird.
Yeah, it's obnoxious.
I
All right, manage channel permissions.
may try to
Oh.
watch something on YouTube about it. Cause they use the thing you said for gaming, so this has to be.
Yeah, it's huge for gaming.
People hop into Discords all the time and do this type of stuff. Oh my gosh, my dog has been barking for like 30 minutes straight. Oh, I did something. Hey, there's somebody.
Okay, Rebecca's got video, but can she unmute?
Oh no. Now she's gone.
Okay, Shannon, you obviously can't unmute. All right, what the heck, man?
It likes us all, but not at the same time.
All right, let's try that. Try again, Shannon.
You can hear us though, Shannon?
Oh, yeah. So you guys have to do push to talk. But, actually, let me change that. It's supposed to cut down on like background noise, but that's obviously not going to work. Use voice activity. All right. There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Cool.
All right.
But now I can't. All right. You'll need someone like a server. Okay. So now I need your permission in order to use the video. But at least y'all can hear me now.
Yeah, thank God. All right.
Yeah. We're so professional.
Video. View channel. Use activities. Use soundboard. All right, you should be able to do video now.
So professional with my towel and shower in the background.
All right, there we go.
There we go.
Now just needed to get Maze in here in the next 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Oh,
Poor Joe has to go to bed so early.
I do, man. I get up so early.
I get up early too.
So I'm just busy in the kitchen right now. So I'm going to stay muted for the most part, but I might jump in if things get interesting.
You're good. I at least know that it worked now, so that's a beautiful. Thank you.
Okay. Yep.
Awesome.
All right, there we go.
Oops. No, come back. There.
All right, and I mean, you guys could stay on after I bail too, but yeah, I gotta jump ship here real soon. So Maze might have to wait, but we could also try to set something up.
Yeah.
Another day.
Mhm.
I was telling her on the phone. I'm thinking about, instead of doing like recorded content like I have been, and then doing the Bible study twice a week, I think I might just switch everything to live. So if anyone's around and wants to jump in, there'll be like opportunities for discussion, and because May's brought up a bunch of really, really good points that would be great things to talk about. So, and then I might just clip things from it instead, because the YouTube algorithm, since I've been back, it absolutely hates me. Going through old videos, like on fire, views very high, engagements very high. But ever since I've come back, I'm talking about COVID, talking about drag, talking about LGBTQ stuff, like I am buried in the algorithm for sure. So I'd rather just have conversations with people. So I think I might do that and just kind of see how that goes. But
I follow another YouTube channel, and they used to do just long videos, and they started putting out a bunch of shorts.
yeah,
And people were asking, and they said that now that they're trying to compete with TikTok, so like they're really pushing the shorts.
yeah, man, I probably spend 8 to 12 hours a week just creating shorts out of the longer videos. It's insane, but you have to. It's like something like 80% of people that find my YouTube come through a short.
The shorts.
Which is just horrible and depressing for society. It's the doom scrolling, like we talked about. Nobody has an attention span anymore. That's why, like, any video I put out now is less than 10 minutes. It has to be. And even then, people fall off after 3 or 4. They're gone.
Actually, that's how I found Joe, was
TikTok.
through one of his shorts. Yep.
Yeah. That's the world now. So that's a part of why I'm like, well, I don't want to record something then, have to edit it, have to export it, like take all this time, man. I think I'm just going to go live and then I'll just clip it for shorts. It's just, I don't think it makes sense otherwise. And then if anybody hops in, like there's conversation, and that's why I'm here, man, talking to people's what makes it interesting. And I can still like teach about whatever I was going to teach about. And then if somebody comes in, there's just added conversation, and then I'll clip the teaching part and upload it and whatever. But yeah, man, the way that YouTube has gone, the way that like all these companies have gone, it's really sad. It used to be good.
They make money from their advertisers, and their advertisers are like, hey, if you get this many views, we'll pay you X. They're like, hey, how can we just get a bunch of
pay-per-view?
I gotta just click on it. You don't have to watch the whole thing. They just click on it.
Yeah, seriously. You do get rewarded for retention though. It is a big part of it. So the longer people stay, the more the algorithm records you. As far as payment, I'm not really sure how that works, but
like back when you had your huge audience, was that mainly from theology forums, or was that from your? Because I know you did a lot. You talked to atheists a lot. Was that a lot of some of the people?
That's all it was, man. So it was Instagram. Instagram got up to like 20K, but it's all started as apologetics. I just posted like atheist Christian debate memes, basically. And then atheists would jump in the comments. Everything had hundreds of comments, and we'd just go back and forth. And then eventually Christians started to find it and then started to follow me. And then as Christians started to follow me, they started asking me questions like, what is this? And what is that? And how do you do this? And how do you do that? And then I got asked like about the tattoos so many freaking times. It drove me insane. So I'm like, I'm going to record a video. And then next time somebody asks me this, I'm going to send them a link to a video instead of having to type over and over and over again. That is how this entire thing started. And then I just kept
and that's
doing
exactly
that.
how I found it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I just
So I
kept
found
doing
you.
it. That's why, like, if you look through my Instagram, it was like once or twice a week, I posted a list of like 80 topics that you guys all gave me. And then everybody voted, and whatever got the most votes, that's what I did a video on. And I loved that because it was what people wanted to hear about. But it's like people just don't watch that stuff as much anymore. And because of that, like I'm so far behind that it's like it's going to take a long time to build up like an audience that'll watch the longer videos again. It's like the shorts do really good, but the longer videos do not.
Hey, do what you gotta do for.
It's so annoying though, man. Making shorts is so annoying. It's so time consuming.
You don't need to stop your shorts to go work at the tables for whatever it was called.
Oh, in the chapter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
What was
God.
crazy is that like I wasn't even doom scrolling when I found you. I found you because my husband and I, we were talking about Christians and tattoos literally the night before. And then I scroll one time on TikTok and then your video showed up and I'm just like, my phone was listening in on
They
me or
heard
something.
you.
What's happening there?
Hell yeah.
I know.
Hell yeah,
China.
they did.
Almost got you. The CCP said, "Let me hook you up."
Oh, see, Jersey here on YouTube said, "Can Christians smoke weed?" That's how I found you. That was the second video I
that
ever
was
did.
old. Yeah, that's old.
If you watch those, it is so embarrassing. It crushes my soul to watch those first couple. It's horrible. But I need to go
You
back
look
and
so
redo
young.
them. I look so young. And in some of them, man, I'm big. From when I was bodybuilding, you can tell, like, my cheeks are big, my shoulders are big. Like,
Yeah, Jersey. I love them too.
I need to go back, though. I think that might be something I try to do, too, is, like, go back to the earlier videos and just redo them. Like, the weed, the tattoos. Because the TikTok is, like, 3 minutes. And that doesn't adequately explain the whole tattoo thing, but it got enough of it across.
Just like talk really fast.
I did. I
People
talked
like-
so fast in it. I had to talk so fast. But it was entertaining. It was fun to do. And I remember I woke up the next day and it was like 500,000 views. I was like, holy shit. Now I get how TikTok works. It's crazy.
I did a couple of videos on TikTok and like I think the most that I've gotten so far was like maybe 5K. Something like that. I don't know.
hard.
I'm not really big on TikTok. Yeah.
I hate TikTok with a burning passion, and it wrecks my soul that I have it on my phone due to just like political things and
Yeah.
morals and
Oh, yeah.
values. It just
Oh, yeah.
crushes me. It makes me feel like a hypocrite. I hate it. But a lot
My
of
friend
like
is the one that
everybody
makes me get
here,
into it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody here is here from TikTok. Basically, there's a few that are from Instagram, but everybody else, Mystics from TikTok, like literally the vast majority of people are from TikTok.
Well, go ham on TikTok for a while, and
That's what I'm trying now. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out just how this works because it's all just a horribly annoying game now.
do you still own Theology Forums?
I do. So here's the
You should
story.
like go on there and put out a thing like, "Hey,
I
Bible
sh- I
study,
shut
blah
it
blah
down.
blah."
I shut it down. You do
Okay.
not want those people here. Trust me.
Oh, okay.
They're awful. So
Oh yeah, that's true. You
yeah,
said
so
they
after
were mean
I
and-
let it stay alive for a long time. After Mystic, if you're here on YouTube, I just saw you DM me, but here, let me throw you guys off real quick so I can message her.
Yeah. Unstopped.
Okay, so Theology Forums I kept alive for years after I stopped doing YouTube, Instagram, everything. I was completely done with everything. Theology forum stayed up. And then basically when I came back to do this, I got back on theology forums, started looking around, looking into it. It had expired in like November. I started doing this in December, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to put it back online. I put it back online. I saw how those people were acting to each other, and I was like, this is done. So we shut it down. And it brought in a lot of like donations and stuff. It was financially intelligent, but I in no way supported what was happening there. They were being awful to each other. Absolutely awful. But it was cool having such a wide range of Christians. Like there were all sorts of people. It was really popular. It got really, really popular. It was the #1 theology forum on the internet. And there was one that's been up since like the 90s. And it flipped that one for top. But the people are just...
That's awesome.
It was awesome, but the people were fucking awful. Awful. And I just...
You can't
no
like
way.
mute them or block
I'd have to
them
block
individually?
everybody. I'd have to block pretty much everybody. I was reading through it and I was like, oh, I'm excited. We're going to start doing this again. I'm going to be involved again. I started all the YouTube stuff, blah, 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 blah. And then I started looking around. I'm like, you guys are just terrible. I am nuking this. And I took it back offline. And so now the Discord is that.
Apologetics.
I love it. I love it. I love it. It's super important too, especially like as time goes on, it becomes more and more important because we've phased out of the whole believe it because I said so. And now you need to be able to defend what you believe. And every time you look stupid and you can't defend what you believe, you are doing a disservice to God, in my opinion. To a degree, you're doing a disservice.
You said TikTok has a 3-minute limit?
Not anymore, I think. I think now you can go up to like 12 or something.
But so you should throw up a 3 or whatever minute, like a movie trailer for like when you redo your life story and just like leave everybody hanging on everything.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh goodness, no, not those. Here, part 2. Stay tuned for part 2.
Oh, not that, like full story on YouTube. Or
no, not the. So I do that like to a point. When I clip the Bible study at the end, it's got like a Bible study every Thursday and Sunday. So like I advertise for it at the end, and then on shorts I put like full video on YouTube or whatever. But the thing that people do that's really annoying, and it's very smart because it pops the views up a lot, is they do what's called looping. So at the end of the short, they basically verbalize it in a way that it feeds directly into the beginning of the short. So you don't realize that the short started over. Yeah. Which is really smart, but I don't have the time to do that for every video. I like 99% of the videos I do, you notice, like I'm in my car, I'm working. I throw the little mic thing on, I stop the car for a minute, and I just try to do something because I don't have time for it, man. I don't have time.
I've made a few TikToks in my car.
Yeah.
Because I was just sitting on my lunch break and I'm just like, I got nothing to do. Yeah. Like, it's hot outside. I'm outside. It's
exactly.
Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Maze just sent me something again. What the heck? It says the channel is locked for her.
That's what it said to me at first.
Really?
The same thing to me at first as well. It's
I see it. Yeah, it does say locked. Then how the heck did everybody get in? Jeez, I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead, guys on YouTube. I love you. I gotta shut this down. I gotta jump off, but we will get the Discord thing figured back out. Just for general understanding, I do think if you want to get on the Discord chat, though, you're gonna have to be on a computer or a tablet because it seems like the more condensed your screen is, that's probably what the UI issue is. So I would recommend being on a different device, but